The Southern Baptist Theological Seminary's library has known several homes. One of those homes was the Memorial Library. This is the story behind how the Memorial Library came to be. Our story begins with this man, James Guthrie. Guthrie, born in Bardstown, Kentucky in 1792, was a prominent Kentucky leader and probably the most important man of Louisville during his time. He was appointed as the Commonwealth's attorney in 1820 and led efforts to establish Louisville legally as a city. He also served as Secretary of the Treasury under Franklin Pierce and would eventually go on to serve in the United States Senate. As a businessman, Guthrie invested in and served as the president of the Lexington and Nashville Railroad. Under his direction, the L&N supplied and supported federal troops during the Civil War. Guthrie also was the main force behind the creation of the Louisville Medical College, which was the seed for the modern-day University of Louisville. Guthrie served as president of that institution from 1846 until his death in 1869. The Guthries had 3 daughters, Anne Augusta, Mary Elizabeth, and Sarah Julia. Anne Augusta Guthrie married Dr. William B. Caldwell, who opened one of the largest and financially lucrative medical practices in Louisville. Mary Elizabeth Guthrie married John Alexander Caperton. Caperton was something of an adventurer, having traveled to California during the gold rush and serving as a deputy sheriff of San Francisco. Sarah Julia Guthrie married J. Lawrence Smith. J. Lawrence Smith, a native of South Carolina, was one of the most important 19th century American scientists. Educated at Charleston College, the University of Virginia, and the Medical College of South Carolina, he launched a medical practice in 1844. However, his real interest was mineralogy. In 1850, he was invited by the Turkish government to advise them on cotton culture and mineral resources. His discovery of coal, emery, and chrome ore were profitable both to Turkey and to Smith, who received annual royalties from Turkey for the rest of his life. The Smiths returned to Louisville in 1854 and were members at Walnut Street Baptist Church, where Dr. Smith was a deacon and vitally involved in Kentucky Baptist affairs. They also built a house on Broadway Street, which provided space and accommodations for Dr. Smith's private laboratory on the upper floors. Although amply endowed financially, the Smiths had no children of their own, and 4 of their nieces and nephews died at young ages. When Dr. James P. Boyce, the founder of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, came to Louisville in order to raise the endowment necessary to move the seminary to Louisville, he spoke with the Smiths and eventually won both of them over so that they became important contributors to the seminary's financial health. When the seminary moved to Louisville in 1877, Boyce had rented space for the seminary library in the public library hall on 4th Street. It remained there until it moved to the 4th floor of New York Hall. But Boyce was still not satisfied with this arrangement for the library, in part because he planned to donate substantial portions of his personal library to augment the seminary's collection. With the death of her husband and following the death of her last niece, Mrs. Smith spoke with one of the seminary's founders, Dr. John Broadus, about her intention to donate funds to support the construction of a library building for the seminary. Mrs. Smith wrote out her wishes to aid the seminary, saying,
"As one by one those I love take their departure from the enjoyments of earth, I hope to the better bliss of the life beyond, I feel impelled to dedicate to their memory the substance that might have been theirs had their span of life exceeded mine. In looking over the many needs of humanity, I desire that the study of the Bible, with all its helps through the Baptist Theological Seminary, may find a shelter for its books in a permanent building. I wish to place $50,000 for this purpose in the hands of the trustees of this institution."
Broadus wrote to Boyce, who was traveling in France to recuperate from ongoing health problems, to inform him of the contribution. Boyce wrote back to Broadus saying,
"I think we have both of us more to learn of the duty of faith and confidence in the working of the Lord for our seminary. With all our anxiety and hopes and fears. How true it is that in our agony of trouble as to what will occur, we find that God has found us ways of which we have never dreamed.
Regrettably, Boyce died in France and never saw the completed library. At the library's dedication on May 5, 1891, Broadus read the letter from Boyce, gave a brief history of the project, and spoke beautifully and appreciatively of the four for whom the building was a memorial. Dr. Basil Manley, Jr. composed a poem to mark the occasion and to honor Mrs. Smith and those she sought to memorialize. Although the building only served the seminary for a short time, it should always be remembered as a testament to how God can providentially work through faithful servants even in the midst of great loss.